What a bullet! Scott Arfield! He's been threatening that recently, and all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. It's Rory now. On the outside, decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Knocks it quickly, finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell, saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
20 by Paul Pantella, off for a hat trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson, can he go on the outside? Comes inside, top shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class.
Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarence deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the Turfcast podcast pre-game show with me, Joe Redmond, ahead of this weekend's FA Cup 5th round clash against Preston North End at Deepdale. Another 5,800 Burnley fans making the short journey into central Lancashire, just like we did just 2 weeks ago. Fingers crossed it's a little bit more entertaining than that game, because that one wasn't the best. Just like the home game against Preston wasn't the best either. So there's a theme, and unfortunately that theme is not very entertaining, but I don't think we can blame Preston for that. I think that's solely on us at this time. But as you can see, as always on the pre-game show, I am joined by a fan of the opposition. You may recognise Jack from earlier in the season before the home game, but I'm pleased to introduce Jack from the Butter Pie podcast. How you doing, mate?
Thank you very much for having me back on. I'm great, mate.
Yeah. Normally, when we play somebody very quickly after last time, I don't normally start by saying thoughts on the season so far. But obviously, last time I decided to use Daniel from North End Pod. Love Daniel, he's great. But obviously, I just thought it'd be good to get a fresher face on as well. And I know you're great as well. So I will ask you your opinion. What are your thoughts on Preston's season so far then? Because I think you lost last time out. I've not got it. Normally I have things ready up, but I'm in a bit of a rush today, so I've not got it up. Started to sort of kind of flirted with the maybe being in the playoffs, but never really looked like it. And now sort of like slowing back down towards mid-table. It just seems much of a muchness, doesn't it, for North End?
No, yeah, definitely. I think it's been a pretty mundane season for us. I think a lot of North End fans are really clocked out of the domestic season, really. We're more looking towards this weekend with the 5th round against Burnley. But in terms of our league campaign, we're not very invested. We're more looking forward to next season, where I think Paul Heckingbottom has really displayed just what he is about his character and sort of stamped his ideas and authority on the squad. So we're more looking forward towards that. Me and Ollie of the Butterpie podcast as well have been discussing on our podcast like where we could go, potential players, what direction we're going to be going in. So it's more really just looking towards the future.
Yeah, fair enough. And we were in a similar position last year, just looking ahead to the Championship, obviously, because we were god-awful in the Premier League. I think every Burnley fan knew we were getting relegated at this stage of the season. But it feels like it's the same for you every single year. You feel like it's the same, like, 12th again, maybe 10th. We'll look towards next season. How do you get out of this as a club? How do North End kick on? Because I'll say the same to what I said to Daniel a couple of weeks ago. It just takes that one season where you're quite fortunate, finish 6th and end up in the playoffs, go up because the playoffs is a lottery, and then you've had that Premier League money, obviously something North End have never had, and then you can properly kick on as a club. But how do you get out of this sort of like mid-table, sort of like obscurity that you seem to be in every year?
Honestly, I think it's down to a complete shift in our planning as a club. I think the way some of our signings have been in the most recent seasons haven't really been the most inspiring or signal any sort of change in sort of direction. I feel like some of the signings we have made, such as Osmajic, Mads Frokja, Stefan Tordarson this season, who I feel like we spent good money on them, and I've really sort of given the fans a bit more like hope that we could go out into the transfer market and splurge a little bit on game-changing players. But the thing is, we don't sell enough. We always tend to let players run down their contracts, and that's got to change. You know, we had the likes of Ben Pearce and Ben Davis all run down their deals, so they either got sold for peanuts or went and left on a free, like Alan Brown last season.
Yeah.
You know, he was with us for over a decade, and he was with us for a decade, and he just walked out on a free to Sunderland. So I feel like that's got to change. We've got to really look at the value of the squad, and if these people are coming, and if there's teams interested, willing to spend a few million on them, why not? Why not sell? Because we can reinvest that money into other areas of the pitch and splurge on players a little bit that are going to be that difference to help us get out of that mid-table obscurity, and really help kick on towards the playoffs. Because we have sold players in the past like Jordan Hugill and Callum Robinson and Greg Cunningham, but we never really invested in the playing squad. Not invested adequately, not replaced them with better or players who could be better. And that's, I think, what's got to change in order for us to get out of this sort of grey area that we're in.
Yeah, it's a good point that I kind of feel like when Burnley stagnated in the Premier League for like 2-3 years and eventually got relegated, the year Dyche was sacked, I feel like that's why we got relegated, because we weren't selling players. Like, nobody wanted to lose James Tarkowski, for example, but so many clubs were always interested in him. And if we'd have got 20-25 million for him, then we could have reinvested it in the squad. We wouldn't have had all these horrendous transfer windows where we just brought in Danny Drinkwater on loan or Peter Crouch. And I feel like that was the beginning of the end for Burnley. So it's interesting. Like, you do need to snap out of it, or again, it could be getting out the league the other way rather than the other way. I do want to go back to something you've just mentioned, though. You said you have clocked out of this season in terms of your league campaign. So you are focusing more on this. I do need to ask you about your ticket sales, and I'm not even bantering or anything here. Like, I feel like it's quite poor for North End. I'm disappointed. I went to the league game. I'm going again this weekend. I think a lot of Burnley fans have done both, and I feel like with the fact that both your derby games against us and Blackburn are done, you've played all of the top four at home, they're done. I feel like this should be a massive game for your fans to really pack out Deepdale, really make some noise, because we'll be playing a cup side, so we'll be playing a weekend side. It's a massive chance for you to get into the quarterfinals for the first time since '66, I think it is. So I'm surprised that North End fans aren't as up for this as what you sound like you are personally. Like, you're focusing more on this, which is fair enough. Why do you think the ticket sales are going pretty slow for North End for this game?
Personally, I don't think the club have really done that great of a job at advertising. I mean, North End Pods, who you mentioned before, you had on last week, they've done a much better job than the club account have done. And I don't know why that is, honestly. And obviously, I think some fans probably looked at that result of the weekend against Coventry and thought we're pretty uninspired. But the thing is, this is such a huge game for us. Yeah. It's an opportunity for us to get into the quarters, and then we might face a really decent side at home, hopefully, because more revenue. And I would absolutely take a home advantage at this point in the cup, and it's just a big game for us. And I don't know why some of our fans are not really buying these tickets. I mean, I can't say much myself, seeing as I'm not able to attend. I'm working, so I unfortunately work in the hospitality, so I can't go myself. But I will be watching every minute I can, possibly. But some of these, I don't know. But there's been calls for every fan to buy every ticket they can. Bring whoever you want. Just bring whoever you want, and just pack it out and just get behind the team because they're gonna need us, and they are. It's an opportunity to do something really special. I mean, Paul Heckingbottom's got experience of getting to a semi-final with Sheffield United. He got them to Wembley. If we can do that, unbelievable. And you can't underestimate sort of like the power of momentum in those sort of situations. I mean, we saw it with like Lincoln, how even though they were a non-league club at the time, when they went so far, they recouped so much money from that and invested it. And this could be a similar situation for us, where we're going to see money come in that we probably haven't seen for a long time, and we can reinvest that into the squad and see how far we can go next season in the league. And Coventry, and another example, they got to semi-final. We're very unlucky not to be in the final. That could be us. I do call for every fan to purchase every ticket they can, and bring whoever they want. And obviously there are just some fans like me who can't attend. But I really don't. I don't have a rational explanation for why most of the why some fans won't be going, but I do know that I feel like the club have massively let us down in terms of advertising, getting the word out, and really capitalising on this. Maybe I know it's £20 tickets for adults, and that is cheaper. That is slightly cheaper than it usually is, but I think they could have gone lower. Personally, like £15 for an adult. That I'd snatch a ticket like that. I think a lot more people would snatch that ticket, and
Yeah, fair enough. I do take your point on the promotion of it, because I did have a look at North End socials, and I think when Dan from North End Pod started putting a bit of pressure on the club, then they started tweeting some stuff, and I saw like an image, and they've recently done speaking at the time. This is Thursday, we're recording this. Last night they put a video out as well. So they have started to do it, but I feel like it might be too little too late, to be fair, which is a shame, because it might detract away from the event. Like 6,000 Burnley fans, I'm rounding up before anyone criticises me in the comments again. And I'm hoping, obviously, that North End fans can sort of like generate an atmosphere as well, because obviously I'm hoping we do and stuff. So I am worried it will kind of take away from the atmosphere and from the event. But do you think there's kind of like an apathy from North End fans at the minute? How the last few seasons have gone. We've already mentioned the mid-table obscurity, and obviously Ryan Lowe getting sacked, and there's been some criticisms. I mean, we can't talk, to be fair, but some criticisms of the North End style of football under Lowe, and probably a little bit under Heckingbottom as well. But do you think there's some apathy from some fans, and maybe there needs to be sort of like an overhaul of the club to get certain fans back? Because I feel like we went through it around 20 years or so ago before our first promotion.
No, yeah, definitely. I think a lot of fans, including myself, do sometimes. I mean, sometimes I do, and I know a lot of fans do feel sort of disillusioned from the club, disillusioned from the club, and whether that's just from the style of play or the results or the situation that's going on, that needs to 100% be addressed. I feel like sometimes I don't even feel like I'm part of the club, simply because of results and the atmosphere around the club when those results don't go our way. But I do feel like Heckingbottom is 100% the right man to take us forward, to take us out of this sort of dark period that we're in right now, or darkish period that we're in, where he can. I do genuinely believe he has got that character, that determination, that sort of forward thinking that we've lacked for so long from any of our managers, probably since Alex Neil. And I feel like Heckingbottom has an opportunity this weekend to really show the fans that, who, like me, are a little bit off in the wayside, just a little bit disillusioned, to really be like, come on. I mean, I'm 100% behind Heckingbottom, but he's got an opportunity to get the fans that don't really want to attend often or regularly, or don't really feel connected anymore, to really go, we're going in a new direction. This is like, if we can beat Burnley, then what a statement, firstly, that is. And secondly, in another quarterfinals, and to have this historic club go far in a very historic competition that we've won twice in our history, what a statement it would be if Heckingbottom could win this game for us at the weekend and just get those fans back on side, because it's just it's been happening for a few years, but I do truly believe that Heckingbottom is the man to take us forward. He's got that forward thinking, like I've said, and he just seems to have come in with this fresh attitude that he wants to. He knows where things are going wrong and he wants to improve it. Like, we only have to look to January. First thing he addressed was a left wing back, Jada Magoma in the door, 2 centre backs. You know, he is planning, and I think he is really got. It's really just really refreshing to see a manager come in with that attitude, just to get stuff done. Like, because I don't think Ryan Lowe was that man at all. Yeah, so I feel like Paul Heckingbottom is going to be our solution to a lot of fans' apathy towards the club.
Yeah, fair enough. I do like Heckingbottom for the record. I think he's an experienced manager. He's managed big clubs in Leeds, Sheffield United. He's done relatively well at both. Obviously got Sheffield United into the Prem, so you can say he did well there. Leeds fans might have a different opinion about him doing well, but I thought he was at Leeds when they were an absolute batshit crazy club, and I thought he did quite well there, to be fair. Obviously, there's a massive elephant in the room with the Hannibal and Osmajic incident, but me and Jack have both made the decision to not speak about it because, number one of us might end up saying something that we regret or could get us cancelled. And number two, both of us have had loads of grief from opposition fans, and in your case, even your own fans. So I don't want to open ourselves up to that again. And obviously, there's an investigation going on now. So let's just let that do its thing. Fingers crossed, the correct outcome. No tribalism here, but whatever the correct outcome is, whatever happened is found out. And the correct thing happens and the correct punishment, if there is a punishment, is given. But that brings me nicely onto my next question. Do you think Osmajic will be playing in this game, or is it a case of Heckingbottom might take him out of the spotlight a little bit, or maybe even rest some players with it being a cup competition?
Personally, I mean, I was speaking with our other co-host, Ollie, about this, and apparently there was murmurs maybe between the clubs could potentially be resting, like might not be playing both players, which for me would probably be the right solution for this. Take them out of the spotlight, take the pressure off them, because I think that just adds a whole new dynamic to a game I just don't think is needed. And I feel like the fans would really, I feel like that would just cause more drama and more, just a lot more of a nasty energy around the game. Personally, but if it was up to me, I probably would leave Osmajic out. I think he's been tremendous for us when he has been on the scoring forms he has been in some games. You know, he's an absolutely just a great striker to have. But I feel like with everything surrounding this at the minute, I just don't see why both. I think both. I think if Osmajic is not going to play, I feel like Hannibal shouldn't play. Personally, for me, it needs to. It's quite a sensitive issue, but you know, I could see Emil restarting. I mean, he had a goal disallowed in the home tie earlier in the season, in the away tie, home for you, which should have stood. Just saying. Not to get into that, but
you are right. It was definitely onside.
No, yeah,
yourselves and Blackburn both had a perfectly good goal disallowed. I mean, obviously, I'm laughing because it's funny for us, and we'll take it. And the season could have been a lot different if them 2 goals had stood. Well, put it this way: we'd have had 2 less points and would have been a lot less happy because we'd have lost to both of our local rivals. So, you are right, though. To be fair, that goal should have stood.
No, yeah, definitely. But either way, I feel like if Osmajic starts, then great. We've got a great striker starting up front for us. But then I feel like the negative kind of outweigh the positives, really. But Emil Rees, either way, I still think is a adequate solution. I think he's still a great striker, despite what some of our fans think of him. He, with his contract situation, he's kind of wound up a lot of the fan base. He's not very popular now, but there would not be a more popular man if he was to score it past James Trafford and ruin his bet with JJ Watt. That's all I'm saying.
Well, to be fair, Trafford won't be playing. Is my prediction. It'll be Halanka. We have we're in a position now where we have one of these cup squads, and we played Halavki in the games against Reading and Southampton, and I presume it'll be a very mixed squad against you guys this weekend. Are you expecting North End to go strong though?
You know what? Yeah, I do. I do think so. I mean, we do have a midweek game against Swansea, I believe, after this. So I think we might throw in like one or two players who don't usually play. I mean, Ryan Porteous is cup tied, so that's down to Liam Lindsay probably coming in. I feel like it would be a stronger squad than just your typical team that we played, like the team we played against Wickham. I think it would be stronger, and I feel like we'll really go toe to toe with Burnley, but I still think Burnley's just got that quality and depth. Really, just think they do.
Well, that brings me on nicely to my final question. I know this one's been a little bit shorter than the other ones, but as I explained at the top of the show, I do need to rush off. Predictions, mate, for the game. What score do you think it'll be?
I said on the podcast, our podcast yesterday, which released today on the Thursday, I said 1-0 Burnley. I feel like our FA Cup journey will end. I think it will be 1-0 Burnley. I just feel like you'll nick it, and I just feel like some players for Burnley might more have a chip on their shoulder for a few weeks.
Yeah, maybe.
And we'll want to, get Burnley into the quarterfinals. I mean, hopefully we absolutely smother you, but we only have to wait and see. But I do see a possibility where we could nick a result. But
definitely, you can nick a result, especially against our weaker side. Having said that, the weaker side has looked a little bit more attack-minded. Like John Joe Shelby's coming on and spraying balls about. Marcus Edwards did play came off the bench against Southampton. Now he started playing for us. Yeah, now he started playing for us in the league. I doubt we'll see Edwards now, but maybe the likes of John Joe Shelby, Luca Colliosho. He might want to put a good performance in to get his name back out there and being in the squad. And I would personally be playing the likes of Lyle Foster in the 9, give him a chance in the 9, and maybe Fleming in that 10. Let's see what he's like in that 10. Rest the likes of Brown or rest the likes of Cullen. Bring in some of the younger lads like Joe Barres and people like that. Who's looked absolutely brilliant, by the way. He was fantastic against Southampton. One final thing from me, mate. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and the Butterby podcast on social so they can listen or watch any North End content ahead of this weekend?
Of course. You'll find us on Twitter/X at the Butterpie Pod and the Butterpie Podcast on Instagram. That's where you can find us if you want to listen to our content ahead of the weekend.
Yeah, or after the weekend, hopefully, when you two are a little bit more downbeat than what you were.
Brilliant. Yeah.
But I'm sure you'll say the same to me. Any North End fans that want to come over here, please don't give me as much grief as last time. If North End have won, fingers crossed they haven't. But Jack, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you coming on straight after work and me sort of like rushing around and stuff. I understand I can sometimes be a bit of a pain in the arse and stuff like that. So I do appreciate you coming on, mate. And I normally say good luck for the rest of the season after the weekend. But seeing as you've already clocked out of the season, mate, good luck for next season.
Thank you. And hopefully you don't get promoted.
Cheers, mate. Brilliant way to end it.